video, I promised you all that I would start sharing more about my mental health. And the more I thought about it, I realized that it might be helpful just to record one of my actual therapy sessions. I just started with a new counselor this week, and we're going to work on EMDR and trauma. And I thought that if it was okay with her to record it, I could be telling her my history and you all my history at the same time. So I asked my therapist today if it would be all right with her if I recorded our session.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something I just started trying last month, and it really helps to either record something or write it down. So, anyway, you were about to ask me something. It was a car accident where my car ended up getting totaled. It was an icy day in Suncrest, Washington. I was dropping my daughter off or I had dropped her off. Thankfully, she wasn't in the car. It was just me. I had just dropped her off for a play date, and so it was icy out, and as I was going down the hill, I noticed it was slippery, and I was thinking maybe I should just hang out there while they're having the play date, because I didn't have chains on my tires. I did have all season tires on there, but anyway, it was making me nervous, and so I decided to pull the car over next to the curb and get out, and I was gonna see, just like stand up, look around, how much ice, how much snow is going on, because I couldn't really tell from inside the car. And as I was about to unbuckle my seatbelt, I think a car hit me. It was a person that it was icy out, but also he was inebriated in some way. I couldn't tell, but he seemed high anyway. And yeah, that's when the brain injury happened. And when after the brain injury, like right after, everything seemed great for some reason. I just felt like on top of the world and nothing could go wrong, and I wasn't worried about anything. So I was like, I got out of the car, and I mean, my car was smashed, my head was injured, now my brain was injured, my body was injured, but I got out, and there's no way I could have even driven the car off. But I was standing there just thinking I wasn't going to call the police or anything. I just thought everything was fine. I was going to let the guy drive off. But another lady from the neighborhood pulled up, and she's like, "What's going on here?" And she seemed like a Karen. There was not a word for that back then, but she seemed like a Karen, and I don't usually get along with people like that. So I was like trying to get her to leave, Don't harsh my mellow. But she kept saying, "Look, here," because my cell phone was almost dead, and she was like, "You need to call the police right now so they can look at, how everybody's doing." And I said, no, I'll probably just drive home. And she's looking at my car going, "Girl, you're not going to drive home." But I thought I would. I thought everything was fine. I was like, "Yeah, I'll probably just drive home, and I'll call them when I get there. I got to charge up my phone." And she's like, "Here, use my phone." And she came out, and she was really insistent. So, yeah, that's a detective came out, thankfully, and he did a really thorough job and figured out that this guy was totally at fault, and that, he hit a parked car with a person in it, and he was not with it, and he was laughing about it and stuff, the guy that injured me. But I might have not been acting like things were that bad either. I wasn't like crying or upset or anything. I was dazed. But then a guy, yeah, I was in shock. And then a guy in a box truck parked his car and told me to come up there because I was standing out in the cold with not enough clothes on to, like, well, normal clothes, but not like bundled up or anything, and no way to get anywhere, just waiting for the tow truck. And I think the guy who hit me had left by then, and I think the police waited. See, a lot of it's fuzzy after the brain injury, but I think the police waited till the tow truck came. I'm pretty sure. I know some people waited with me. Oh, that's right. First, some people in a van said, it was a family, and they said, come, it was a minivan, and they're like, come, wait with us. I think it was, oh no, it was the guy in the truck first. So anyway, it's kind of significant because it was a box truck, and he wanted me to stay in there to keep warm. He's like, I can have my heater on it because my car wouldn't even turn on after that. And so I went up there and I told the police, I'll be right there if you have more questions for me, because they asked me all kinds of stuff, which I'm glad they did because later I couldn't remember. So it was very good that lady forced me to use her phone. I think she even told me, if you don't call them, I will. So I was like, well, I better just do it. Anyway, so I got in the guy's car. He got hit. He was parked and he got hit. And then, so then I got more injured on my back. And then another car hit the car behind him. So it was icy. But those people that hit him, they weren't laughing about it, and they weren't inebriated or anything like that. I don't know how much, what happened with that, but we didn't get brain injuries there in the truck because it was like, when they hit us, it was more like a bump, but it hurt my back. Then I started to realize, oh, I might have already been injured from that first one, or maybe it's from anyway, I was a mess by the time I started to feel the pain. It took like a day, I think, before the pain started kicking in, and then I took a cab to the hospital from my friend's house because I was at her son's, like, I think birthday party or something. I don't remember what it was. There were a bunch of kids over there, and normally that wouldn't bother me. I could just tune people out and like tune in and out between things and have a lot of things going on around me. But ever since the brain injury, I can't. And it was crazy. I mean, it was like a bee's nest was in my head and I was getting stung or something. It was just really intense and scary. And I was like, something's really wrong. She could tell by looking at me too. And she's like, go to the hospital. And I was like, can you take me? She's like, I got all these kids here. She's like, take a cab. Don't drive. So, yeah, lots of weird stuff. But it all got taken care of, and I mean, I'm not totally healed. I didn't know if my brain would go back to normal or not, because before, everybody always, like, I had a high IQ before, and people always, like, called me a genius. Like, even people who didn't know me, they'd talk to me for a little bit and they'd be like, you're a genius, aren't you? People used to tell me that every single day before. I mean, I didn't feel like I was, but I was told that a lot. And they did all these neurological tests on me now, and they said I'm average for a woman of my age, or a human being of my age and sex. And I was laughing. I was like, that's like telling me that I throw good for a girl. And I'm like, it's pretty weird coming from where everything just came to me very easily, and things I could deal with, like a lot of multitasking and stuff, to how I am now. It's a huge shock. Yeah, and when I'm around people who knew me before really well and haven't seen me in years, I have to re-explain to them, but this always helps. I just tell people that it's like when you get into a new car and you go to shift the gears or hit the brake and it's in a different spot. It's extremely disorienting like that, because you might be on the road and you go to hit the brake and it's not where you expected it to be. And then, but you do figure it out. I was like, that's how I feel with my brain now. I mean, eventually I can usually get to where I can do what I need to do, but it's confusing at first, especially new situations. Yeah, it's really strange. Especially, I notice understanding people when they're not being clear, and remembering anything.